Well, Robin Hill started off as a tourist attraction back in 1970. It unfortunately fell into decline in the early part of the 90s. So unfortunately the owners at the time had no choice but to sort of put it on the market, which is when Vectis Ventures came in and purchased it in 1994. Well, as our events profile expands a little bit, we're doing 2 or 3 new events this year. Obviously it takes up quite a lot of our time to do it, so it's a matter of being quite focused. The secret to any event really is being enthusiastic about the event you want to do. It's no good picking something out of thin air and going, I think we're going to try and make this into an event, because you need a little bit of passion and a bit of drive behind it to make it successful. And that's why Festival, for example, is very successful, because the people that put it together are very passionate about music and being creative and giving people a fabulous time. We work with the festival management team who put the event on. And from that experience, we've seen the benefits of getting events going on here in the park. Perhaps not on that sort of scale, but as a management decision and a decision from the board of directors that we should explore more event opportunities here. We have a fantastic venue with lots of space. I mean, Robin Hill is just on the boundary of one of the outstanding areas of natural beauty, and you can just look at the top of the site and look through it and see how wonderful it looks. I mean, people when they arrive here are taken away with it, and it's part of I think definitely one of the positives from Robin Hill's point of view to having events. And if we are to grow more events in the future, we will make the best of the site because it looks so beautiful. We were fortunate enough to have a knock on the door back in December 2003. One of the event organisers for Festival, before it started, they were looking for a site to do a small music event here on the island. It wasn't to compete with the Isle of Wight Festival, but they recognised the fact that the island was a nice place to do events. But it wasn't until Festival started to happen in 2004 when it really became, the potential was realised probably. So it was quite nice for an events company to come in and actually show us how events were done. So we've learned a lot of very sort of crucial information and lots of good things working and looking from the team that put Festival together, which is a very experienced events management company. They've done lots of events across the UK of all sorts of sizes. So by looking over people's shoulders, you can soon learn quite a few tricks of the trade and see how things are organised and done properly. So it gives us great heart to develop the site in that way in the future. We've invested some money into some good infrastructure, which is very, very important for hosting events. You need to be able to get people onto the site, you need to be able to park people, you need good public transport links, which gets people here safely and quickly from other towns on the island or from the ferry ports. You also need to get the event infrastructure into the site. If it was equipment required, stages or other bits and pieces like that, they all need to come on big lorries, so they need to be able to get onto the fields and not get bogged down in wet spots. So we spent quite a lot of time in the last few years spending a bit of money and a bit of effort trying to improve the site so that if we want to do these sort of things, we can without having all the hassles. Remembering that the big disadvantage of doing outdoor events, is the fact that the weather is so unpredictable in the UK. What we found is that as we've started to do events, people are saying, oh, another event at Robin Hill, that must be good. So it's become quite associated with doing good events. So we've just done the 4th Isle of Wight Spring Garden Show. Had 6,000 people to it over the weekend 2 weeks ago. Very successful. Again, that's aimed primarily at island visitors. Mostly at that time of year, there are very few mainland visitors with us. So again, that hits our very sort of close market, and to have a decent weekend of weather that week was very helpful for us. So and turned out very successful. I think the events that we choose tend to be focused at the markets currently which exist on the island, both local people and for visitors coming from the mainland. The garden show again picks like to the 40 pluses that live here on the island that are interested in gardens. It's quite an untapped market of people, which also helps increase the profile of Robin Hill as well. We've set out a stall in the last few years to change the park from a family attraction to be an attraction for all ages. We spent quite a lot of money here in the park developing the park's woodland gardens. Looking at some of the events we've got planned for this summer, we have got quite an interesting outdoor event later on in August, which is the first time we've kind of attempted this as an outdoor cinema. Working in conjunction with Isle of Wight Radio and another event partner, we're gonna do 5 nights of cinema aimed at sort of a family audience. So we've picked out 4 or 5 good movies that we think that everyone will like, and we're going to open the gates, get people to bring along a picnic and enjoy the park in the evenings, which they currently can't do. So we know that there's lots of people staying on the island at that time of the year, not much going on in the evenings, and we think this is an opportunity for us to tap into that particular market. So events are not just about you know, having a good idea. It's tapping into a market which perhaps exists and isn't being made the best of. Everyone who does an event has got to take a bit of risk, unfortunately. You know, if the weather goes bad and people don't come, or we don't get enough ticket sales, there is a risk element. And any sensible business, you know, has to be a little open-minded if they want to tackle open-air events. If everyone, you know, were, you know, wanting to take no risk at all, no events would ever happen, because they would never get off the ground. They're very costly and very time-consuming to organise. You know, I would say the small garden show that we do takes me probably 4 months of planning, with me and another person doing it, most of it together, on and off between our normal day jobs of managing Robin Hill. So that's just one small event for 6,000 people. An event for 50,000 people, it has a team of 20 or 30 people working on it 12 months of the year. So there's lots and lots of costs that get incurred before you even do an event. About 25% of our marketing gets spent, you know, in the local press, and the local people are very, very important to us. Last year showed how important it was. We did some surveying and of our own, and it showed that a lot more people last year were staying with their own families and relatives here on the island, their friends, rather than in guest houses and caravan parks. So if we've made a good pitch to the island, it makes us, you know, very high on the list of things that they would recommend to the people that are staying with them. So, you know, it's important to have a relationship with the local people. But 75% of it does get spent on advertising to people, you know, either coming to the island as they're on the route, or through campaigns that we do with other people. If we do any local event, we often ask the ferry companies if they want to get involved or want to, you know, have profile. And they do so. Wightlink are very proactive in that respect, and we enjoy working with them. They're very keen to promote us, you know, in Portsmouth and Lymington and on the south coast through their mainland publications. They tell people about our events. They put their kind of money in the pot to help us put them on a little bit and market them a bit more successfully. So ferries are very, very useful. So if we can drive extra, you know, day visitor traffic to a small event like the garden show, for example, then they become very important to us. And as you can see, a lot of bigger events like Festival and the Isle of Wight Festival, you know, they couldn't work without good relationships with the ferry companies. So they're vitally important. If the Isle of Wight Council are very proactive about encouraging events, I think more events can come here. But again, it takes ideas. I think many people that live here perhaps underestimate the importance of big national events that happen here. They probably do more to put the island on the national map than all our marketing from a tourism destinations point of view put together. Our budgets are pretty small, and we can't really sort of impact too much. But a big event like that, which attracts an international audience, in whatever sense, it's got to be fantastic for the island. So hopefully that the Isle of Wight Council and all those that make the decisions are probably reasonably open-armed about, you know, treating events, you know, and hopefully more events will be welcome to come to the island and hopefully flourish, because I think it's very good for us as a business. Benefit from my point of view, I think people coming to the festival as a student or a 25-year-old will hopefully come back with their own kids when they're 40, 45 years old, walk to Robin Hill and say, well, this is where we came for festival 20 years ago. What a fantastic location, we had a fantastic time. They will remember the park for that, and it will be buried in their minds forever, and they will remember the Isle of Wight in a positive light, and that's very important. I'm sure we'll get repeat business long term from hosting events like this.